Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on the show, and I'm here on the show. I haven't done any wrestling news in a few days, so I want to talk about the latest news going around wrestling, or the wrestling show. Haven't done any, probably a week. Probably, 8 days. So, I want to talk about some here. So, first thing I want to talk about is Shawn Michaels. He made some full comments to Fightful.com. So he talked about the possibility of adding a secondary women's title in NXT. So let's get to basically what he said here. This is some of what he said. Quote: "Every now and then, that stops drifting to your head. I'll say this: as proud as I am of our women's division, I would argue that there isn't anybody, in my opinion, that highlights their women as well as we do here in NXT. Having said, I just don't know what another title would be. I'm not sure what you accomplish in that respect. A secondary singles title would be way easier to book than the tag titles, that's for sure. Use it to elevate some talent that aren't quite at the main level. It could be one day, it could be a secondary title like the NXT Women's Championship. But maybe this women's division deserves a second title, because there's a lot of really good women's wrestlers in NXT that deserve to be a champion. And maybe outside the main NXT Championship women's title, you can make it happen, have a second title. I think maybe short term it can work. I don't know about long term. I don't know. They maybe could test out NXT, but I don't know. They can make a mid-card title that floats between the main roster and NXT. That allows for main roster stars to come back to NXT to show light on the up and comers, and those talents can show their skills challenging for the belt on the main roster shows too. Maybe it sounds like too much, but it gives the women on the main roster something to do that aren't really doing anything. And if they aren't competing for Raw and SmackDown belts, you can help them showcase the NXT talents that will be where they are soon enough, maybe. But 90% of the time, I ain't no title's a bad idea outside the World Heavyweight Championship and on the main roster. I think it's a good idea. I mean, it is a secondary title, but I think it's a good idea. I don't know. We'll see what Shawn Michaels could decide to do. And he basically provided an update on the women's tag titles too in this media. I think it's a media call. Not a media call, but he discusses the secondary women's titles and what we just talked about. And yeah, this is part of the media call. I mean, I think they'll keep the women's tag titles, maybe. We'll just have to see. AEW Dynamite. Their viewership rises on the May 24th, 2023 episode. So last night's episode of AEW Dynamite drew 846,000 viewers. The number's up from the May 17 episode, which drew 814,000 viewers on AEW Dynamite, and it posted a 0.32 rating, so it's up this week in the 1849 demo, and the rating compared to last week, which is 814,000 and 0.28 demographic. But the night was topped by Vanderpump Rules, which is interesting. I've never heard of that before. Sounds interesting, though. So the Dynamite viewership is just up, down, up, down. It's constantly 800, 900,000, or close to 900,000. I mean, I don't really care too much for the ratings. I mean, the show was decent, I guess. Got some more news here. Oh, Tony Khan. He had a media call today. So the Tony Khan AEW Nothing media calls today, and notes in this thread here for Mr. Khan. So Connor Casey, he asked if there will be a brand split. An interesting question here to Mr. Tony Khan, as Fightful Select reported there would be. So Fightful Select reported there could be a brand split, and Connor Casey asked this about Tony Khan. So he said he'll follow it up after Double or Nothing. So after Double or Nothing, we can get some more insight. Could there be a brand split? We'll have to see. So Brandon Thurston, Tony Khan answered his question and confirms Fightful Select's report that a WBD deal for Collision is an addition to Rampage / Dynamite instead of a new deal altogether. So he answered that. And John Polk, he asked about the competition of running Saturday night, and he says he's excited to run Saturdays and think there's a lot of benefits despite the competition. So he asked about the competition, and Tony Khan's basically excited because I think it can benefit despite the competition. And so Sean Ross Sapp asked Tony Khan a question here about, these are just media question notes for Mr. Khan, and he asked Tony Khan how the collision/pay-per-view schedule will be affected this fall when NFL runs. He said that it was a consideration, but they aren't running against the NFL 18 weeks of the year. I didn't get a clear answer on what night pay-per-views would be on the fall, so he didn't get like a clear answer on what night pay-per-views will be on in the fall. But you're not running against the NFL 18 weeks of the year. You gotta run your pay-per-views. I mean, just because of the NFL, it's not gonna be like it's 18 weeks a year. So, and Tony Khan, he confirms a final slate report to Bill Pritchard, the AEW Dark and Elevation not running as a part of their agreement with Warner Bros. Discovery. He says that he's building a little anticipation by being intentionally vague for the moment. So I don't know if this report is not part of their agreement with the Warner Bros. Discovery, but he didn't really give a clear answer from this question. Ella J asked about Sabu, and Tony Khan says he'd be open to Sabu coming back, but he won't be a regular on AEW TV. So it was just maybe a one-off last night. He's not gonna be on there regularly, but he actually sent Tony a text, Shad Khan, about Sabu, and he took Tony to see a Sabu match decades ago. So he was on AEW last night. He's not gonna be on there regularly from this answer here. He says he loves the competition in pro wrestling as well, and he isn't done with ethical standards. So he isn't done with ethical standards, and he doesn't necessarily think that NXT running against AEW is unethical. He doesn't have a problem with it if it's an ethical competition, which he doesn't think it's always has been from WWE. So he tells Kevin McElveny that he believes Stardom could help AEW and could end up appearing on Forbidden Door. I mean, maybe that could happen. We'll just have to see. So Niger Chambers asked about AEW possibly running the Sphere in Vegas, and Tony Khan says he loves learning about venues in general, but indicates T-Mobile Arena is a good partner for them. A good venue is probably anywhere but Vegas on a Memorial Day weekend, probably. And he suggested Willow to New Japan Pro Wrestling because he thought she was a perfect fit as an AEW representative. So they should make her part of the Collision team. And he also put over Veda, a pro wrestling commentator. Tony should hire her because she's a really good commentator. Maybe she should make her part of the AEW Collision that's going to happen where CM Punk could return, maybe. And Tony Khan, he said he's going to try and keep Sting active in wrestling as long as he wants. They haven't had a talk, but Sting has mentioned it in the past publicly. Tony Khan says that Sting is a great person, business asset, and personality. They would love to make Sting's last match a big event. He thinks Sting's retirement match will be one of the biggest things in wrestling to ever happen. Now, he's not going to force Sting to retirement. He's going to let Sting wrestle as long as he wants. So basically, that's what he said. He's also had some comments. He also put over to tonight's Ring of Honor. He says he wanted a bigger episode considering pay-per-view week. He doesn't consider Ring of Honor a feeder league with names like Shibata, Lucha Bros, Claudio, Mojo, and Athena as champs. And he doesn't think anyone but Mercedes knows when she'll return to the ring. He speaks about basically the respect he has for her. She suffered an injury, and he doesn't think anyone knows when she'll return to the ring but her. But yeah, hopefully she has a speedy recovery after she hurt her ankle. And Tony Khan, the last thing I want to get to from the media call, a lot of stuff to get to from this media call from Mr. Khan. He also told John Alba that he doesn't have an answer on All In yet, how he will be distributed. They're working on when it will air or stream right now. So, I don't know if he can't. He knows. This points to Max, in my opinion. I don't know where it's going to stream on. Probably Max, like I just said a second ago, literally like a few seconds ago, like Max. It might stream on there. But yeah, that's all I want to talk about from the Tony Khan media call. A lot of good points to get from this media call here. So Shawn Michaels, he says, to the best of my knowledge, NXT won't continue to run pay-per-views against AEW. I mean, I think that's good, because it's better for all wrestling that there are pay-per-views on different days, because it's really hard to watch some pay-per-views at the same time, so I think it's better that pay-per-views are on different days. And running against them on Wednesday and losing constantly should have taught them a thing or two, but they might be lying. Shawn Michaels might be lying here. But talk about an answer that means nothing. What does he even know? That's right there with Colin saying, "Oh, we're open to moving Raw on Monday nights." But he does run NXT though. I don't know, but they'll probably still try and run against AEW. Saraya. They want to do an AEW Outcast versus Originals in a blood and guts match. I mean, maybe you give the women a blood and guts match, but I feel like some people probably won't be open to this idea. But the t-shirt possibilities probably be endless. But it felt like that was the end goal for me. To me, I might be down for it, but I don't know if this feud warrants it. I feel like it's been a mediocre feud, but they'll talk Tony into it because he never says no, so that they'll end up doing it. Now some more news here, because I feel like it'll take a while to get through the other media call. Shawn Michaels says Rick Fowler and Jagger Reed are, quote, too talented not to be used prominently in NXT. You say that, but you book them like geese. Just let them go out there and and hoot and hop around. Just use them prominently then. They should have won the tag team championships, but when they had that banger with the Gaullist boys in NXT, but decided not to. I'm trying to find some more news here. The debut of AEW Collision, as I was mentioning, will be at the United Center Saturday, June 17th in Chicago, Illinois. And a lot of people, they're thinking CM Punk will return. And I'm hoping they do the same thing they did last time. The first whole hour is like a CM Punk return party. And don't forget the free ice cream bars. But CM Punk is money and Collision will be money. I mean, people are losing interest in seeing CM Punk return, but I want to see it. But it'll be on the 17th. Aussie Open, Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher, they have officially signed with the All Elite Wrestling about damn time. Aussie Open is signed with AEW and the tag division just got better over there in AEW now that they've officially signed. Bob Select, they've learned a free agents that have had interest in both WWE and AEW and where their likely landing spot is. And they aren't free agents if they're future free agents. I don't know who this could be or who this is. If it was about Aussie Open, they're already signed, but this could be about some other people. NXT ratings increased on May 23rd, so the key demo rating was up as well for NXT. Hulk Hogan says the racial comments were, quote, a speed bump. That's not who I was, and everybody knew that, end quote. So he talked about his racial comments. He was literally the clown who said it. And he's like exactly who he is, a racist. Well, not everybody says that he's a racist, but he's probably said it multiple times. And we just didn't know it until he got caught in tape. So I'm glad these racists are getting exposed, because he's said this before. It's probably not the only time he's said this word. Just like Hulk Hogan. Like, get a life, Hulk Hogan. He's probably said it many times before, besides one time. Yeah, that's all I'll say for this video. Until next time, out. Peace.